Hi, folks. Welcome back. This is Mark Devine with the Unbeatable Mind podcast. Welcome to this show where I'll be interviewing my friend Navy SEAL Don Mann. We're going to have a fantastic conversation about things that are definitely important to you, such as overcoming fear, difference between good pain and versus bad pain, how to use pain to develop yourself, to get out of your comfort zone, understanding where the line is. How do you face danger? How do you, cultivate a balanced ego and be more courageous in life while still being a good person, discipline, testing yourself with hard physical challenges and chasing your demons. I mean, there's so much that I want to talk to Don. We've had him on the show before. He's one of my favorite Navy SEALs. I love Don. But anyways, before I introduce Don and we start our chat, let me remind you that if you listen to this podcast on other stations besides iTunes, then it really would be helpful to rate it at those platforms. We have over 500 five-star reviews at iTunes, and which makes the podcast one of their top shows, actually, which is pretty cool. But now it's available at Google Play and Stitcher and SoundCloud and Pandora and I think even iHeartRadio, and there might be others. But those are relatively new additions, and so if you listen on one of those platforms, help other people find it by rating it. So thanks very much. Also, I've been saying this recently, but I wanted to get the word out. We have completely redone our Unbeatable Mind online training, like radically overhauled it. It's like definitely 100% better than it was, and it was already an outstanding program. Over 10,000 folks had gone through it and been transformed, but it's completely new, so much better. All new content that I've personally rewritten. All new videos that myself and Catherine, our Kokoro yoga teacher, and a couple others have contributed. Fantastic stuff. So unbeatablemindcom, check it out if you want to relook at that or look at that for the first time. Hoo-yah. All right. I mentioned Don Mann is a teammate, former SEAL Team 6 commando. Wrote the book on SEAL Team 6, actually. I'm not kidding. He's got a bestseller called Inside SEAL Team 6, which is his view of his time there. Great read. He's also a big pioneer in adventure racing and a world-class competitor himself. I remember back in the day when Don had created the Beast of the East and watching Mark Burnett essentially bury the company when he scheduled his Echo Challenges on the same weekends. Maybe we'll talk about that. Don is an inveterate author and constantly recreating himself. Just awesome guy. He's written 18 books. If you go to his website, usfrogman.com, and look at his bio, it goes for like 18 pages or something like that. It's incredible. Don, you're awesome, buddy. Thanks for being here. How are things going?
Oh, Mark, it's really good to be talking to you again. It's been a long time, and it's great following all that you're doing. I'm doing fine, thanks. Thanks for having me on your show.
Now, you just mentioned to me that you got back from a reality TV show where you paddled with 4 other Spec Ops guys for 750 miles. It's called The Brigade. What's up with that? Are you never going to have enough of those events? You've done like 1,000 of them, haven't you? Holy cow.
Yeah. But Mark, this one was actually not even, there were 2 of us in the military there, former military.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
But they gave me a call and they said, would you like to try out for this 2,700 mile paddle? And I said, I'm 61 years old. They said, yeah, we know you are. So I went through the steps and passed the test and went up to Canada and they brought it from 2,700 miles down to 750. But it was a great gut check, as we say in the teams. And it was, just lost 19 pounds doing it. And with 5 Canadians, 5 Americans, it was a blast, though. I loved it.
It sounds fun. It's not your normal weight loss program, but it definitely would work for most people, right?
Yeah, we're starving.
I'm curious, you've done so many of these. Do you ever learn anything new, or is it just the same experience over and over?
Mark, this last one, I learned quite a few things because I was older than all of their parents, so I was a different generation.
Did they treat you as dad or grandpa?
Not so much. No, I think we all got along like as peers, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned what this newer generation is like, and I really haven't had a lot of close work with the younger generation, day in and day out for weeks on end.
Right.
And I learned an appreciation although they're so much different than our generation, I learned a great appreciation for the younger generation. And so I like that a lot. And I saw that people who aren't in the military, with the mindset that you and I have and that we've had all our lives, that even if you don't have that mindset, other people can appear differently, they can look differently, they cannot have much of like what appears to be a structure to their life, but things can still work. And that was
Right.
eye opening to me.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot with our Kokoro camp. I mean, some of our strongest candidates have been civilians, and some of our weakest have been Navy SEAL candidates. It's been
Oh
fascinating.
boy.
What was, do you think, the biggest difference between our generation versus that younger generation for those who like to do these hard physical challenges? Like, what was a
Well,
big character
for
difference?
for the brigade, my mindset was okay. We get up at 0430. We make sure camp is cleaned up. We have the boat ready. We get our PFDs on. We do the map study, and we go. The other nine felt like, yeah, well, let's get up when we can, and we'll get to it. Yeah, we got to look at that map at some point too. And it was just odd to me. My
That's
lower
good.
lip was all bitten up because I tried my best not to say too much, but it still worked somehow.
Probably because you were doing the map study because you were up at 4:30 doing all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Oh, what fun! Let's go back a little bit. Can you give us a sense for your earliest days and what life was like growing up? Here's something that I just want to touch on right up front because you and I have a lot in common. I
Yeah.
retrospectively, the older I get and the more perspective I have, I realize that I really went into the SEALs to kind of chase some demons away. To change the story of my life, right, and to do something radically different because there was some underlying shit that just I wasn't comfortable with or I didn't feel good about the way I was raised. What was your child? I'm only saying that to you because I see something in you where you're always chasing the next challenging thing, the next hard thing. It's almost like you're running from something or running to something, like you're chasing some demons of your own from your childhood. I just want to throw that out there. What's your response to that?
Oh, well, I grew up in a place that looked like a nice neighborhood and up in New England, and I hung out with just the guys and the girls who lived there. I didn't go out looking for bad people to hang out with, but it just happened to be that everybody that I grew up with, 99% of everybody I grew up with, turned to crime and drugs and bad things.
Interesting.
And I joined the Navy. I knew my father instilled a sense of patriotism in us all. He was, World War II vet, and we always prayed and we always gave allegiance to the flag. And God, country, family is how I was raised. Although my friends were just going off the deep end,
Did
and I
you
knew
have any trouble in that regard, like running into the law or drugs or alcohol or some of the common ills that youth fall into?
I did. Yep.
Hmm.
I'm not proud to say it, of course, but yeah, I used to like being chased by the police on a motorcycle. I liked when I was a young kid before I had a license. I liked the adventure of being chased, and I did
Wow,
that quite a
that's a
bit.
good one.
And I spent a few nights here and there in jails and things like that, and drank too much and just did things I shouldn't have done. And
Right,
nothing terribly wrong, but things I wish if I could turn back the clocks, I wouldn't have done any of those things.
of course. Well,
And
they help form who you are, and we can't turn back the clock. So it's part of your
yeah,
karmic debt you're paying off.
but I did realize though that I had this sense of energy. I had a lot of energy, and I needed to direct it somewhere. And at first, I thought I would just be a cop because then I can get to chase the bad guys and do these
chase
chases and things.
chase the earlier version of yourself on that motorcycle.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I went to school, and the police professor there said, "Hey, if anybody you guys here want to join the police force because you think you're going to do all these chases and all this, none of that's going to happen. You're going to be watching manhole covers at night and directing traffic." And then I think, okay, now it's time to join the military. And I went to the Marines at first, and I think I met the only unsquared away Marine recruiter probably in the Marine Corps, and he was not impressive at all for some reason. So I thought, because I didn't know about the SEAL teams. Back
Hmm.
then there was so little said about it. And I went
Right.
next door and talked to the Navy recruiter, and when he showed me the video of Navy SEALs, that second mark that changed my life. That was all I wanted
Was
from
that
that
the
point on.
Be Someone Special video?
That's right. That was
That
it. Be
changed my
someone.
life too. Wasn't that awesome?
Oh yeah. And at that point,
You can, by the way, for those listening, that you can still find that online. So if you go Google "Be Someone Special" Navy recruiting video or something like that, you can see what Don and I are talking about. It was just this epically cool, but really, you know, like this CGI. It was really cheesy, but it was very cool. And they show all phases of SEAL training, and they do a little mock mission. And when I watched it like 20 times. I was transfixed, and that became the basis for my visualization about me becoming a SEAL. I think I talked about that in one of my books.
yeah, I
So
saw
cool.
the guys
Anyways,
doing the pull-ups and push-ups and sit-ups, all these fit guys, and training and deploying all over the world and being the most elite team in the world. I was
yeah.
thinking, there's nothing in the world I want to do but doing that, jumping and skydiving and blowing things up. And I never, ever, ever look back thinking that was something I probably shouldn't have spent my whole career doing. But I am so happy and fortunate and blessed that I found the teams. Or who
Yeah.
knows, I would have been in the jails and prisons and rehabs with my buddies.
There's a lot of team guys like that, I think, who just basically that was it. And pain wasn't an obstacle to them because they grew up with it, you know,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
some level. So it's interesting to contemplate.
yeah.
At any rate, so you went through what SEAL class and what was your just let's do a quick run through your SEAL career and any really notable cool things you did.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit after you. I went in initially, and I had to serve time with the Marines because I was a corpsman,
I
and at
see.
that point they wanted only experienced corpsmen in the teams. So I went in '77, did a tour with the Marines, um, and ended up doing a deployment in Okinawa for 13 months. Got
Nice.
out and went to Buds in Class 120, and served SEAL Team 1, SEAL Team 2, SEAL Team 6. And then during uh, drug the drug wars, I went down to Panama for 4 years during that, 89 to
Right.
93, then went back to 6. I came in enlisted, then went warrant, and then retired as a warrant officer at 98.
Right on. Okay, so we overlapped. I actually didn't get in until '89 myself.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't go through training until I was 25, turned 26 in Buds.
Oh, that's okay.
When you were down in Panama and working the drug running stuff, what was the hairiest op you did that you can talk about?
Well, there was a this ship we captured, and everybody on it was killed, and we were
No
just
kidding.
gonna get the remains and clean up the boat a little bit. It was just like a 25-foot boat, and everybody was killed on it. And the army had shot up a bunch of rockets and killed everybody on board. And it was a terrible, terrible, terrible smell. Of course,
Not our army, but you mean like Colombian
actually,
army or something
our
like that?
army killed the enemy Panamanian Defense Force on it.
Oh, I see. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so it was our army who did they won, but so we had
You
to
won
go
that one. Yeah.
clean up the boat up and anyways, to make a long story short, I had to go underwater to check out the shaft and the screw in the hull to make sure it wasn't damaged from the law rocket shot at it. And I told the Master Chief, if you need me, just bang 3 times on the deck with something. I started going down the ladder, and he picked up something next to him, and he banged 3 times on the deck. But what he picked up was an unexploded law rocket round that he didn't know it was an unexploded law rocket round. The fins
Holy
had come off,
shit.
and I didn't see what he had in his hand. But so, anyways, 8 hours later, that law rocket round is used for sounding checks, and it ends up thrown in a dumpster. And I told my
No
buddy, I
way.
told the guys I was working with, let's just stay in the tents. Let's go in the tent tonight, 9 p.m. You guys have been working since like 2 a.m. Let's take a break. In the meantime, a couple Army guys walked over and they said they're going to start a war museum. And if they could have all the bloodied up uniforms and the intel and stuff that we're throwing in the garbage. And one of the guys said, "Yeah, it's in that Dipsy dumpster right next to our tent." So one of the Army guys jumped in there, and that's when the law rocket round that was thrown in there earlier exploded. And he
Oh no.
exploded and came out, and he lost his eye and his hands and his leg, and he had
Ah.
thousands of pieces of shrapnel in him. And I was probably 20 feet away when it happened, and we thought we were being attacked. So I just grabbed my weapon, my medical bag, and ran outside. And I saw garbage everywhere and a body. And I ran
Oh
up and did, as a corpsman would do, A, B, C, D, E. And he was still living. And I was able to get about 4,000 liters of Ringer's lactate in him, stopped all the bleeding, and he started moving and talking. And he asked me why he couldn't see, and I didn't want to tell him it's because he didn't have his eyes anymore. I didn't want to tell him he couldn't feel because he didn't have his hand. He couldn't feel his leg; it was blown off. So, anyways, I calmed things down, and he started joking around. He said, "Well, at least if I still have my beep, my wife will take me back." And he started joking around. Anyways, he went back home. Got he passed away on the helo a couple times. They brought him back to a couple times. And one of my best memories of Panama was working with this young captain because 2 years ago he called me up and we reunited and we had lunch at a Mexican restaurant. And every year from this point on, we're going to have a meeting on the day of his accident. And he has got a glass eye and prosthetic leg and a prosthetic hand, but we've become very, very close friends because of that incident. And incidents
Holy
like
cow.
that, as bad as they are, he was relaxed. He knew it was war, and we became friends. And things like that is what is the best memories I have of Panama.
Holy crap. What a story.
Yeah, he's
I'm never
smart.
going to go dumpster diving again.
No, he thought
Holy
it was a
shit.
flashlight. He said, "I thought I saw a flashlight," and went to pick it up, and he
Oh,
bent over. Then boom, it went off right in front of him.
unbelievable. Wow.
And then doing
Um,
all the drug searches on the canal, we did basically many hundreds of those. And I was there the night the four seals were killed, and I was on the
right.
water on the canal, and the gunfight took place on the runway, and we lost four seals. It was worst day ever, for us all. And my
I
good friend,
remember that day very well, actually. So it's neat to know that you were down there. But I was actually at Officer Candidate School, and we were having some dinner at some like pizza restaurant,
oh,
and the
okay,
and the news was playing, and all of a sudden they put up the images of the four SEALs killed, and one of them
uh,
was Lieutenant Connor. Was that his
yeah,
name?
Connors, yeah, Lieutenant Connors, yeah,
Yeah, and I was like, "Holy shit! That's like that kid is me." You know what I mean? He went to like
right,
Bucknell or something. I went to Colgate, and he had only been in for 4 years. I was just going in. I was like, that could be me.
it sure could
And
have.
it was the first time I like really thought about it. Like, holy shit, this is serious business. You know what I mean? Better get my game
I,
face on.
I had two of the guys over afterwards. One of them, well, both of them are very good friends. One was the other lieutenant who was the AOIC, Mike Phelps, and then
Mm.
Carlos Melita.
Mm-hmm.
And Carlos was shot three times, and Mike was hiding behind him, shooting, using Carlos as a barricade, basically. Although Carlos wasn't dead, he was just wounded. And another one of my favorite stories is they were both over my house, and Mike said to Carlos, "Hey, Carlos, I'm sorry. I thought you were dead. I was using you as but I'm sorry." And anyways, Carlos, I have so much respect for that man because he hasn't been able to move. He's been in a wheelchair ever since. He can't move from his sternum on down, and he's gone on to win 5 Ironmans in that wheelchair, and just climbed Kilimanjaro in the wheelchair. And he actually, I got a text from him yesterday, but a few weeks ago, he wrote to me and asked me if I can help him find some sponsors to go up to Everest in his wheelchair. That guy gets
No
more
kidding.
done in a wheelchair than I think anybody I've ever known. And that's a
Hmm.
great comeback story from Panama. As bad as
Heck yeah.
everything seems at one point, and then Carlos becoming, and he's inspired and helped so many other wounded people and military vets and just people who've lost limbs. He's helped out thousands of people since that day.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's an inspiring story. I mean, I got to track you on this and see if he actually ends up going up Everest. That's something I would love to be part of that expedition.
Oh boy, you would love
That's
it.
amazing. Wow. Have you been up Everest? I
I
think you
went up
talked
there
about it a
two
couple of
years
years ago.
ago. Yeah. Boy. So I everything in the world was coming my way. I thought, a $93,000 trip. I basically mortgaged everything I owned. 70-day commitment, but I was very, very fit and very strong. And I got on a team with the world's most experienced Sherpa, Andre Dorje Sherpa, who is into thin air hero. And
Mm-hmm.
Lydia Bradley was on the team, first woman to summit Everest without oxygen. We had a
Mm-hmm.
strong team. And everybody was saying, "My God, Don, you're the oldest one here, but you're not having any issues at all." And once we got up on the ice fall, where the ladders are, where you climb the horizontal and the vertical ladders,
Right.
I lost my memory. I lost my color vision. I started
Really?
choking and I started exhaling fluids. My brain cavity and my lungs filled with fluids. It's called
Holy
HAPE
shit.
and HACE, high altitude pulmonary edema and high altitude cerebral edema. And I was drowning in my own lung fluid. And one of the New Zealand guys, the Kiwi, he saw me. I passed out up there, and he got me. He says, Don, you got to get down quickly. Get back to base camp." I didn't know which way was down, and I
Wow.
put my hands on his shoulder and I used his oxygen mask, and I kept passing out on the way down. We got to this 100-foot ice cliff. He said, "Can you rappel?" I said, "Of course I can rappel. I've rappelled all my life." And I got the rope and I had my harness on. I was thinking, my God, I forget how to rappel. So I just
Right.
wrapped the rope around my arm like 5 times and then went off the cliff and just released one loop at a time and somehow made it down. And I was just hours away from dying. The doctors had said once I got back to Kathmandu, and I'm still suffering. My lungs are still, they're not 100% yet, and I hope they will be. But I came back. It didn't stop me at all. I would have gladly have done that again because the last thing I want, Mark, and I know you think the same way. I don't want to go to my grave or my last days on earth saying, I wish I did this. I could have done that.
I
I
know.
really wish I had given that a shot. I gave it a shot. My body said no, but my mind didn't say no. I was willing to
Right.
keep going, but I had no other choice. And so I just rebound and came back with another goal. Now I'm trying to hit 60 miles an hour on a bicycle, and I can do that on the flats. And that's how I'm recovering. 60 at 60 was the goal. 60 miles an hour at 60 years old.
All right. You're going to get the Unveil Mind patch for the craziest stories ever.
Well, people say
How many times you tried to kill yourself and survived?
Well, people say 60 at 60, that's crazy. I said, it's not nearly as crazy as 70 at 70. So
Yeah, there you
I
go.
need a
It's
break
like one
here.
thing at a time. First benchmark is 60 at 60. How fast can you go right now? What's your marker?
50.2. I have a long ways to
50.
go.
So do you like dress up in those sleek little suits with a helmet that has the aerodynamic thing and you just
Pretty
what,
much.
crouch
I
down
don't
and
have an
pedal like a
aerodynamic
madman?
helmet anymore, but
No.
I just, yeah, I'm pretty much all silked up and have funny looking bike clothes when I do this.
You don't wear those clothes out in public, I'm sure.
No, no. The public wouldn't allow that.
Let's talk about pain. You obviously know a lot about pain, but for those who are listening who are shy from pain, you and I know that pain can be a great um, motivator. It can be, it's our wisdom. We can use a lot of wisdom or pain in a wise way to develop ourselves and to overcome obstacles. And and sometimes the more pain we take on or allow into our lives, the more it enriches our life. So it's just an interesting thing. And most people avoid it, right? It's something you want to turn away from, so to speak. So what's your
Yep.
take on
You know,
pain?
Mark, I am very fortunate that I've discovered a way to deal with pain at a young age. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think if I didn't learn this philosophy I have to myself, and you have the same philosophy, I don't think I would have gotten anything significant done in my life. And going to Buds, sitting there with all those intimidating Buds instructors, or looking at some big mountain, I climbed 30 mountains to get ready for Everest, and doing
Mm-hmm.
these 500 and 600-mile races. I knew they were all going to be painful, and I
Mm-hmm.
learned to very humbly sit back, look at the challenge, and say to myself, I welcome the pain. Bring it on. I
Mm-hmm.
want I want there to be pain because when I'm in too much pain, I just pass out. And if that does I did 2 Ironmans in one day. And on the second Ironman, I was at mile 32 on the run and I passed out. And I woke up and finished the 2 Ironmans that day. And I realized that point that all the other times in my life where I might have said it's too hard, it's too challenging, I have some lame excuse, or I'm feeling bad for myself, I was wrong because if your body is in too much pain, I learned that you'll pass out and you'll get the break you needed and you'll get up and finish the chore. And
Mm-hmm.
as we have in the teams and a lot of military units have it is pain is good, extreme pain is extremely good. I learned to recognize there's more to it
Exactly.
than just that. That there's two types of pain, and the temporary pain and discipline we all had to get through buds and get through all the
Mm-hmm.
challenging things we've done in life. if we're doing log PT and it hurts really badly, and you got splinters and headaches and sore back and sore head, but if you have the temporary pain, you can put up with that temporary pain. You know that instructor will blow the whistle at some point and go jump in the ocean. You get a break. But if
Mm-hmm.
the guy next to you thinks some lame excuse like it's too hard, it's too challenging, I got to quit, I'm going to go ring the bell, for the rest of his life, he has that permanent pain of regret. And that
Mm-hmm.
permanent pain is so much worse than the temporary pain we've all gone through without quitting. So I like that temporary pain. And really, if I
Yeah.
look at things, if it's too much, I'm going to give it all I have. If I don't have what it takes, I'll give it until I pass out, and then I'll get the break I need, and I'll continue on with the task. And I'm going to live
I
like that
love
for the
that.
rest of my life. I know
Why
that.
not?
That's
Well,
right.
geez, you've done it for 60 years or 50 years. Why
Yeah,
not? Just
yeah, it's been
continue. It's
working.
working for you. Pain is weakness leaving the body. You know what I love about that is you're saying, I'm going to get my limited brain out of the way and let the wisdom of my body decide what's enough, right? Because, one of
Right.
the thing I've learned is that you're capable of 20 times more at least.
Yeah.
And it's the wisdom of your body that you got to follow because, like in Hell Week, we get stronger and stronger the more deep we get into the training of that week without any sleep, 24 hours a day for 6.5 days. Your brain is telling you can't do this. And there's not a single medical doctor or scientist around who would say, yeah, that's good. Your body's, they're going to say your body's going to break down and you're going to be like, an Auschwitz survivor by day 4 or something like that. But
Yeah.
the reality is you're going to be building muscle mass. You're going to be getting more alert and the new reality sets in. So your body steps up. But what you're saying is when you do these like fun little like double Ironman, there's a point where your body would say, okay, Don, this is it. We're just going to hit the shut off switch for a few hours to give you some time to recover because you're too stupid to quit.
Yeah,
And
basically.
then when you wake up, you got all this new energy. You're like, oh, let me finish this race.
Yep. Or at least the energy you need to finish it. Right.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
How do you get out of your head and let your body's wisdom take over?
Uh, One way that helps me is music. I really enjoy music, but I like that space when on a 50-mile run or something where you've gone beyond the pains. It's like flutter kicks. They hurt after you do so many, but if you do another 100, it doesn't hurt anymore. It just stays bad. And I like being there. I don't think it gets worse.
There's a point where it can't get any worse, so might as well just suck it up.
Yeah,
Embrace the suck and keep moving, right?
I like that space there.
Yeah, I like that space too. And there's a natural resistance level. There's several resistance levels that you push through before you get to that spot. If you just push through by keep going,
Yeah.
just some mantra. Like what mantra do you have when you hit those early resistance points?
Well, for instance, if I can answer that by looking at a running race,
Sure.
if we're out in the woods doing a trail run, a 50-mile trail run, and I see somebody ahead of me, I used to think, oh, what am I doing? I don't belong here. These guys are all faster and better than me. I don't belong here. But once my mind started getting stronger, then I started thinking, I do belong here. I could hang with these guys. And my mind got stronger than that and said, I should be able to beat a lot of these guys. Then my mind would get stronger and I would start thinking, there's no reason in the world any of these people should be able to beat me. So my
Mm-hmm.
body wasn't necessarily getting stronger, but as my mind continued to get stronger, which can happen every single day of your life, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily your body, but your mind, I started realizing like if I see it going back to the trail run, if I saw a person in front of me, let me just go a little bit longer stride, a little bit faster pace, and let me beat this guy. And then I'll look at the next guy, and it kind of takes the pain and puts it secondary. And I just keep
Mm-hmm.
the goal in mind of trying to beat everybody. And just being preoccupied with a goal and not being preoccupied with the pain. I know
Yeah.
the pain's there and it hurts, but I just try not to focus on it and
Yeah,
focus on
I
something
love
more
that. So
positive.
that's a key principle of mental toughness. You probably talk about that in your new book, Beyond Boundaries, or Reaching Beyond Boundaries. Take the focus off the pain, because if you focus on the pain, you're just going to get more pain, or you're going to experience more pain, and that takes temporary pain and it turns into suffering. And
Right.
once you get into suffering, it's kind of like you said, that long term pain of regret is more like an underlying suffering. Person's going about his day in and day out, but underneath, you know, subconsciously he's suffering because of that regret. Well, in a long endurance race or a long challenge, if you keep focusing on the pain instead of the the goal or the win or the why, right? Those are three other things that you can focus on, in my opinion. Then that temporary pain is just going to turn into a suffering, and then it's going to be hard to get out of that dark place,
Absolutely.
place, space, place.
Yep.
I think I
And I
created a new
also
word there, splace.
like, I like to look at other people like Reinhold Messner. He,
Yeah, he's
I've done over
amazing.
1,000 competitions. He would look at my list and he'd say, "Oh, that's petty stuff. That's you like hanging out, running around in circles in a park, don't you?" And he would look at that, but because what he would do, and he's the greatest mountaineer of all time, and just recently they called him not only the greatest mountaineer of all time, but now he's going to be recognized as most likely the greatest mountaineer the world will ever know. And he would
Wow.
say, "Well, I'm going up alone. I'm taking that gear here. I'm going without oxygen. I'm going alone. I'm going to go climb that north face of that mountain in the Himalayas. It's never been climbed before in the winter. I should be back in a couple of months."
Yeah.
And I believe that we all
Don't
have
wait up for
what
me. Yeah.
Reinhold Messner has. He just knows how to tap into it. And so if I'm doing this 50-mile run or a half a day workout or a 2 day workout or something, it's nothing compared to what people like he has done. And I just look at people who've done so much more than I've ever even thought about doing. And I look at them as examples of what people are capable of doing.
Yeah, that's amazing. It can be very motivating, and
Yeah.
it helps us keep our ego in check because you think you're big bad Don Mann or I'm big bad Mark Divine, but then you look at other people out there doing these crazy and fun and challenging things, and you're like, wow, that's amazing, right?
Yeah. I
I
don't think
wonder
I've
if
done
I could do
anything
that.
compared to the people I look up to. The people I look up to, I pale in comparison to anything that those people
Yeah,
have
right.
done.
So that, so that's one way you keep your ego in check. What are some of the other ways that you practice humility, Don?
Well, okay, like for the Ironman, doing an Ironman, you're all proud of yourself and all that. And I made that as a macro goal at one point. That's my macro
Mm-hmm.
goal. My macro goal before that was to run a marathon. Once I achieved that macro goal, I brought the macro goal down to the micro goal status. And now the macro goal is an Ironman. So 2.4 mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and 26.2 mile run is now the new macro goal. And
Mm-hmm.
I just use a little macro goals that before that make those micro goals. I had to achieve those to hit the next macro goal. So when I achieved that macro goal of the Ironman, I was hoping that for one of the first ones, I wanted to break the Ironman champions course record of 11:44. So all I knew was I had to go nonstop and try to beat 11:44, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing back then. But I did have a macro goal to finish the Ironman in a break 11:44. So on the bike ride, I saw Gordon Haller up ahead of me, and I was thinking, "Oh my God, that's my hero right there. That's Gordon Haller." And Gordon
Hmm.
Haller, I had a poster of him in my bedroom because he was the Ironman champion, and I actually passed him on the bike. And I looked over him, and very humbly, I said to him, I said, "Have a great race, champ." And I passed him. I couldn't believe I was even on the same road as he was. So, anyways, I
Hmm.
got to pass him, and then I was so fired up that I passed him, and I wanted to win this Ironman. It was one of the first Hawaii Ironmans, and then I got on my running shoes on. I was running as fast as I could go for a 26.2 mile run, and people were saying, "Hey, kid, you better slow down. You got a whole Ironman triathlon ahead of you. You got to finish up with a strong marathon. Don't bonk out and go too fast in the marathon." So I was just passing all these people, and then the crowd was screaming and yelling. They go, "Watch out, the champ's going to beat you." And Gordon Haller was trying to pass me, and I hadn't been passed in the race at this point. We only had a couple miles to go, and Gordon Haller passed me at the very end of the race.
No way.
And he's the only one who passed me, and he came up to me and he hugged me. He said, "Don, thank you so much for pushing me." I said, "Oh my God, you're my hero. You don't know how much you pushed me all year long." And so that gave me a big, big, big boost and broke his time of 11:44 with a barely broke it, did 11:41. But then it made me realize, wow, if I could do one Ironman in a half a day, that's 11:41. That's less than a full day. That's only a half a day. I should be able to do two in
Got
one day.
plenty of time left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I took Ironman, made that a micro goal, and the next macro goal was two in one day. But I keep myself humble because I did two in one day. So what? Because a lot of people have done three Ironmans, and a lot have done 5 and 10 Ironmans, and just recently they
Really?
had a 30x, 30 Ironmans in a row, And so I look at people like that, and that makes my double Ironman look like a little mini micro goal for those people. And so I
A
stay
mini
humble
goal.
by looking at
Jeez,
the
Don.
people who've done so much more than I've ever thought of.
All right, so we'll do a podcast when you finally accomplish 30 Ironman in a row.
Yeah.
If I'm still podcasting by then.
Yeah, boy.
Maybe I could do like 100 podcasts in a row, Jeff. Would that be a good macro goal? I mean, I'd have to really embrace the suck for that. I'm just kidding.
No.
That's crazy, but crazy in a good way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What do you fear, Don? You got to fear something.
Um, I've got two ridiculous fears. Once I almost drowned under a ship, and I fear someday I'm going to be stuck underwater without air because it almost
Yeah, I
happened
got that
once. And
one
then
too.
I also fear I'm going to choke on a fish bone, a chicken bone for some reason. But
Okay, that goes in the random category. Yeah,
yeah, I don't fear
interesting.
death at
I
all.
wonder if that happened to you as a kid. That you just pre-memory. You know, I wonder.
One of my best friends died that way, and I think that's what happened. But
Okay.
I don't really fear dying at all because we're all going to die. I do like to say to people we are going to die someday. What I don't want to do is let what we have inside of us die before we die, and try to get as much out of life as possible. And I also hope, in a selfish way, I don't want some long, slow death or some disease or cancer or something. I want one last adrenaline rush and right back to the food chain with a lion attack or a bear attack or shark attack or avalanche or tidal wave. Just one big adrenaline rush and then right back to the food chain. So my family and friends don't have to come visit some sick old guy in the hospital for whoever knows how long. I just want it to go quickly, and that's my selfish
That's
way I
awesome.
want to go. Yeah.
No, I don't think that's selfish. Well, I think that's actually selfless because you're sparing everyone else the
Yeah.
torturous old age process that we have in the West. I'm with you on that one. I don't necessarily expect to or want to go out in an adrenaline rush, you know, thing. But I prefer the martial or yogi approach of perfecting the body and then deciding when to leave it.
Oh yeah.
And that is it's possible, but it's very challenging because it takes a lot of training.
Hmm.
But that's the path I'm taking, and we'll see if that works out. And we'll check back in 100 years, 150 years, see if it works out.
Right.
People are going to listen to this and go, "What the
That
fuck
does
is he
sound a lot
talking
better.
about?"
You miss
It's
the
okay. Well,
adrenaline rush,
it's
though.
my podcast. I can say what I want. Don, let's talk about your book, Reaching Beyond Boundaries. That came out recently, right? Just February.
It did. It just came out in February. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, give us the big idea and some of the principles that people could learn from it
I've written
to
a lot
inspire
of
them to go out and buy the book, of course.
books. Well, thanks. I have written quite a few books, but I have to say this was by far my favorite book I've ever worked on because it's a philosophy and a mindset that I believe in, and it developed big help to the teams. Of course, helped instill all this into me. and
Mm-hmm.
and I do these talks around the country, and the talks are usually only an hour long. Actually, I did one with Monica Lewinsky 2 weeks ago, and
Really?
so I'm always doing these talks. But what I
That's
do,
random.
I always have to cut them short because it's only usually an hour to do them. So at one point in my life, I wanted to expand more upon the mindset, the combat mindset, we call it in the teams, and just having a strong mindset. And I talk to bankers and lawyers and doctors, anybody. The message works across the board, as you know. But I
Sure.
wanted to get my full message out, and it was so much fun doing it. People like Gordon Haller, who I just talked about, the Ironman champion, he's going to use it for his training of his students now. And I've been hearing from like
Nice.
people I've admired all my life endorsing the book, and I just love doing it, and I like putting that philosophy out there. And if it's the last book I do, I'm fine with that because that was my favorite.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the top three principles that you want to convey through the book?
Well, for one, I know goal setting's big in everybody's life to some degree, but the one of the things is I think it's not a tragedy to set your goal up really, really high and not make it. Like for instance, for me, Everest. I set it up high. I wanted to climb the highest mountain in the world. I didn't make it. But all the mountains I did make on the way to Everest, Denali out in Alaska and places like that, um, it still got me a lot further than if I didn't have that goal. And it was beyond my means. But I think the real
Mm-hmm.
tragedy for most people is not that they set the goals too high and they don't make it. After I got out of the teams, I realized it seems like the large part of the population, they set the goals low and they achieve it and they go home and they're happy and they think they've done a lot. And I think a lot of their life is unfulfilled and they won't reach the pinnacle of all they could have reached with that attitude.
Right.
That's one of the things. And I
They're not
make that,
setting those stretch goals and keep stretching the goal, right?
that's right. That's
Every
right.
time you set it, right?
And
Yeah, I agree with that.
and as a runner, we had these terms, conversational pace and race pace, and go in a hotel and see people running or jogging on a treadmill and talking or watching the news or something. But race pace, when you're running at race pace, you can't afford to look over to your shoulder and talk to somebody because you're given everything you have to go fast and far. And all your
Mm-hmm.
energy is
Mm-hmm.
going to moving forward, not talking or hanging out with somebody. And I like to say at SEAL teams, we often, especially nowadays, didn't have the privilege or the opportunity to train at conversational pace. We had to train at race pace. And it's
Mm-hmm.
painful, but you get to that mission or the objective or the macro goal so much quicker at race pace. Then you have to take a break. You'll burn out if you go at race pace at everything in life. But if you
Mm-hmm.
have something serious you're going after, a mission or a goal, an objective, going at conversational pace, you may never get there. And I like going
Right.
at race pace until that's accomplished, then taking a step back and relaxing, and then reset the goals for something bigger.
I love that. CrossFit reinforced that in me because the way I used to train was unless I was racing or training for a race or in the SEALs. When I got out of the SEALs, I mean, it was easy to just get into, hey, just go train and put in the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Do the reps. And when I started doing CrossFit, every workout or WOD was a race.
yeah,
And man, you get like an intense workout in a very short period of time, and the results just blew away. Working out 3 times as longer, just going through the pace or the
yeah,
motions.
exactly.
So I can, that was cool because it reminded me, oh yeah, that's the way we train in the teams, and I've trained that way ever since, and that's part of our SEAL Fit protocol.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Anything else about the book? I can't wait to read it.
Oh,
I need
well,
to grab a
thanks.
copy. I'm going to go buy one today.
What I
Yeah.
did, Mark, I looked at these. I use sports as an analogy in the military, and I like in the talks I do. I say, first thing I say is, I'm not trying to talk anybody into becoming a SEAL or a mountain climber or an adventure racer, but please just accept these stories and consider them as analogies for the point I'm trying to make. So the stories I use, they're mainly of other people who I just look up to, and I was able to capture what I think was a great lesson from the big things that they've accomplished. And I took those
Nice.
lessons and put it like in almost a what I learned from these people type format.
Oh, I love that. So you profiled other people. It wasn't all of your awesome accomplishments, which
Yeah, mine
you know
were the smallest of the accomplishments in that
you're
book.
this. That's hard to believe.
Oh, thanks.
Unbelievable. Um, so what's next for you? You just retired, from your second service job. First was the military, then you did some government work.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, well,
Thank you
thanks,
for
Mark.
service.
I think what's
So what's
next
next
for
for you?
me,
You're
I
not going
got
to
my
go play
macro goal.
golf, obviously.
I'm sorry?
Said you're not going to go just play golf every day, obviously.
No, I haven't tried that yet. But what I'm going to do, there's 54 14,000 footers out in Colorado, the 14ers they're known as. And my goal is to walk, hike, run up each one of them and run down. I've done 20 of them. And I can go up to 14,000 feet without affecting my lungs. And if I just go up, touch it, and
Right,
run down, I'm okay. So I've got
right.
34 more of those to go. And I have to hit 60 on this bicycle. And those are the two things I'm focusing on now. There'll be contract work that comes up here and there, but I'm not
Yeah,
focusing
yeah.
on work. I'm going
I
to
got I got a challenge for you. This is on my list to do this year, or maybe in the first quarter next. 30-day silent retreat.
a
Maybe we
silent
should do it
retreat.
together. What do you think?
Oh
Yeah,
boy,
30 days.
boy, that'd be really
Do you
interesting.
think you could sit still for that long?
You mean not move either?
Yeah, no. Well, you get to move, but most of the time you're sitting in meditation. But then
Oh boy.
you might be getting up and doing walking meditation, obviously eating meals, but no talking
I could
and
do the
no
talk
physical.
bit.
Yeah, that wouldn't be hard because you do that in long periods of time. But this is the part of not moving the body and having that intense exercise, which would be so different for us.
Oh boy, that would be
A lot of
super
resistance would
challenging.
come up.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do
Okay, well, report back to me on that one after you think about it for a bit.
that. Okay, thanks.
It can't all be hard, Don. I mean, well, maybe it can be, I guess.
Yeah, sounds like it would
I
be.
try to do a combination of the hard and the soft, but I really respect you for your accomplishments.
Well,
Amazing.
my feelings the same too, Mark, of all you've done and all you do for people. I mean, everybody has so much high regard for SealFit and all, and your books and your talks. I mean, I love referring. I told you I referred somebody to you today. You are the guy. If people want this type of good training with the SEAL mindset, we can pass along to civilians and other military people. I always say you got to go see Mark Devine. He's the guy. And yeah,
Thanks, man.
so it's an honor to know you, Mark.
Yeah, ditto. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your time today, Don. It's just what a fun conversation. I think everyone's gonna love this podcast, and also gonna want to read your book. So, folks, if you're listening to this and you really enjoyed Don and his humility and his just willingness to go tackle these insane challenges, and also to give it up for all these other people who are doing it even beyond what Don and I can imagine, go buy Reaching Beyond Boundaries at Amazon or wherever. I can't wait to read it. In fact, I'm going to buy it right now. I use my Amazon app. I'm completely addicted to it. I buy a book every other day. So I'm going to get yours and read it next weekend.
Well, thanks, Mark.
Hoo-yah. Yeah, thanks, Don. Good luck and stay in touch, buddy.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care now. Hoo-yah. All right, folks. Don Mann. Check out his book. Well, he's got a ton of books, but Reaching Beyond Boundaries is the one that we've been talking about. But he's also wrote Inside SEAL Team 6, which is a great story, his life and missions with America's Elite Warriors. And you can check out his website to learn more about him and what he's up to at usfrogman.com. Is that right, Don? Did I get that right? Hang on. I know it's on my notes here. I don't want to get that wrong. Yeah, you can just Google Don Mann. How's that sound? I'm pretty sure it's usfrogman.com. It's a charity that he runs, so it might be .org. At any rate, awesome, great conversation. Thanks for listening. Stay focused, train hard, and set a stretch goal. Do something really challenging next month. I challenge you to do that. Report back to us. Okay, till next time, hoo-yah, Divine out. Hey, this is Mark Devine. Thanks very much for watching the Unbeatable Mind podcast on YouTube. You can also find the podcast at iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, and unbeatablemind.com/podcast. Be sure to check out the new episode released every week. Hoo-yah.